Hello everyone! Quick announcement to let you know that this month, November 10th through 13th, Dana will be in person at TeslaCon in Madison, Wisconsin. This is a great opportunity to meet Dana, have a chat, and check out all of her books, dice candles, and other crafty creations. Dana's newest novel, Falcon's Favor, will also be available, so don't miss out on picking up your signed copy of that as well. For those of you not familiar, TeslaCon is the largest steampunk convention in North America, this year celebrating their 12th anniversary. So, if you listen to this podcast and are into steampunk, or you just want to stop by and say hi, come on out to Madison, Wisconsin, November 10th through 13th for TeslaCon. For more details and other upcoming events, visit wordsbydana.com. Now on with the show.
At this point, like you're what's the thing? In for a penny, in for a pound. Like we're in for a pound at this point.
Oh, this movie is in for a lot of loose change. Everything you found on the floor and in the couch. It's all in there. Just threw everything in. Hello and welcome to Steam-Powered Movies. I'm your host, engineer and producer Mike Fraedrich, and I'm here with your
Dana
other host.
Fraedrich, the other host. Steampunk and fantasy author extraordinaire.
Yes, and this is a podcast where we watch steampunk movies and then we talk about them. And today we watched Wild Wild West.
Wiki wild wild west.
Yes, and it's as off the rails as this opening is already.
I'm down with that.
I'm going to start. So Wild Wild West movie came out in 1999, directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, who also did Men in Black. Also with star of this movie, Will Smith.
It has very Men in Black energy about it.
Yes, it does. Also with Kevin Kline, Kenneth Branagh, Salma Hayek, and others. Dana, I'm going to start with a trivia question here.
Go on.
All right, I'm going to ask you, which of these is an actual quote from the movie?
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to give you three selections. Which is an actual quote? 1, I learned that from a Chinaman.
Mm-hmm.
2, it's nice to have her on board. She's a breath of fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
Or number 3, no more Mr. Knife Guy.
Trick question. All three of those lines are in the film.
Yes, those are all actual lines from the movie.
Yes, they are.
So, Dana, can you summarize this movie? Spoiler alert, everybody, spoiling Wild Wild West. But Dana, can you give us a plot summary, maybe?
Oh, I love this. This is great. Okay. Man, some of my friends are better at this, but I'm going to do my best. So basically, we have Jim West, who's kind of that like wild, like as President Grant says, shoot first, shoot some more, shoot until everybody's dead and ask questions later, kind of cowboy. And then we have Kevin Kline's character, Artemis Gordon is his name. And one is a U.S. Marshal, one is, what's the other one's title? Something like that.
He is some sort of also federal agent.
U.S. Army, U.S. Marshal, something like that. So they get put together, typical buddy cop / odd couple kind of plot. They get thrown together. Artemis Gordon is very analytical. He's very inventive. And they get thrown together to save the country because the nefarious... From the nefarious Dr. Arles Lovelace, who has made some intense threats against the U.S., and they have to figure out what he's up to and stop him before he destroys the nation. So they go on this wild adventure to gather clues by using various types of insane hijinks. They pick up Rita Escobar, who is played by Salma Hayek, and they get some clues from her. She kind of joins them on their escapades, get captured several times over.
Oh, of course.
Fly in on a flying machine based on Da Vinci's designs, get beat up, beat some other people up themselves, save the president and the country. That is a very, very short plot description.
Yep. And you left a lot out because there's a lot that happens.
Yeah, it does.
There's so much happening in this movie. But the reason we're talking about it is because this is Steam Powered Movies. We talk about steampunk movies. This movie is extremely steampunk.
Oh, it's steampunk to the gills.
It is almost too much.
No, never. disagree heartily.
Okay, there's one part that I think is maybe too much. It's the final fight scene, right? And they're like, it's like if someone was saying, I'm going to make a steampunk movie and this is going to be the climax. They're going to be gears everywhere.
Well, yeah.
And it's just the screen is covered in gears and steam and pipes and everything.
They're on an 80-foot hydraulic spider. Of course there are gears everywhere. That's a lot of moving parts.
Right. I feel like you buried the lead with your plot summary. The 80-foot mechanical spider powered by steam.
I mean, I feel like if you saw the previews, you knew that was part of it. Like, that was a main part of this preview when they were like, oh, he has an 80-foot spider. OMG!
Right. That's part of his evil plot to take over the country. Well, take over part of the country. In the very end, it's like he threatens the president with all of his steampunk mechanery, or as Kevin Kline's character calls it, mechanology. Actually, a pretty cool term.
Good, very good term. Should we take this moment to explain to anyone out there who is not familiar with steampunk kind of what this thing is?
Sure, yeah. Anyone new to the podcast or new to steampunk, what is it?
So essentially, we are talking about like a low power source, like steam, put into high technology, like an 80-foot spider.
Right,
I mean,
right.
Developing something on that scale, even nowadays, would be difficult because it's just unwieldy at that point. But
insane, really, is the word.
We take the artistic license, and we kind of run with it, kind of keep it within the bounds of like, okay, probably, maybe. Technically correct, kind of, or technically possible.
Oh, there is lots of stretching of maybe in this one.
Yes, there is. And I love every minute of it. So that's essentially like what you're going to find at the core of steampunk. That low technology, or rather low power and high technology.
Right. Is part of steampunk not understanding how magnets work?
Again, we're stretching the bounds of what's possible.
Right. Which,
okay, I will grant you, and I know we're skipping ahead, like the magnetic razor discs,
right? Sort
of just staying aloft and sailing around the entire time. Okay, that is like the one thing I actually wrote down is like, okay, this is too far. However,
my note says saw blades that break 4 million laws of physics. Because they are launched from a stationary point with fixed momentum, and then they never fall. They follow our heroes everywhere they go because they have quote-unquote high-powered magnets around their neck. And then when they crash into each other, they explode.
I admit, like I actually wrote down that was like the one thing that I thought maybe was a little too far. However, at this point, like you're what's the thing? In for a penny, in for a pound. Like we're in for a pound at this point.
Oh, this movie is in for a lot of loose change. Everything you found on the floor and in the couch. It's all in there. Just threw everything in. Speaking of that, I had seen this movie before. One time before.
I can't believe you've only seen it one time.
You introduced me to it.
Yeah, I can't. There's so many things about this statement I can't believe.
And I'd seen it before, but even like rewatching it, watching the very opening of the movie, I was like, oh yeah, this movie's a giant mess.
It's not a big mess.
It's a giant mess. So we open with this like solemn death scene. This guy gets his head chopped off by one of the.
He's not actually decapitated. He's just partially decapitated.
Well,
he is murdered
by the physics law breaking razor blades. We don't see all of it, but it's heavily implied.
Oh, you're right. He might have actually been decapitated.
Yeah, with one of the bad guys like looming over him.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point.
And then we get the opening credits with this crazy musical montage. Let me start over. There's a decapitation. The bad guy drops a one-liner. We go into this Superman-esque music theme.
Okay. I'm going to stop you right there. This used to be a TV show, right?
No idea.
Okay, well, it used to be a TV show, and the opening is like kind of leaning into the roots of the film, like this old Wild Wild West TV show.
Okay. It makes a little more sense, because I was like, what is this? It goes from this like Superman music to like kind of a heavy drums, musical theater, hip-hop-ish thing.
It does have very, very strong vibes.
Then back to the Superman music. with all this comic book split screen montage thing happening. I was like, it's like a comic book set in the Wild West, but with real people. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just all over the place from the start. So
I like it. I think it just brings like, it kind of sets the mood for the rest of the film, which is very like, you're on an adventure for sure.
It does establish that anything can and will happen. It's one of the things I like to call very movie.
Very movie?
Yeah, it's very movie. Like every like movie kind of thing, every movie trope is in this movie. You've got your, damsel in distress. You've got your Deus Ex Machina things happening. You've got, impossible time skips and jumps and things happening in time frames that could never happen. Like all of the tricks of movies, that just everything that's in bad one-liners, like it's all there.
I mean, it's a good film. A lot of good films have those things.
I mean, if that's what you like, I think we're coming from different sides of this one.
I know. And I know that like you are not the hugest fan of this film.
No. I mean, it's for me overall, it's kind of like a good bad watch. Like I kind of enjoyed it this time around more than the first time. The first time I was just like, what is happening? But now I was just kind of taking in all of the bad tropes and movie tricks and things, like, okay.
I'm going to say something.
Groaning at lots of it.
I'm going to say something that might make you angry.
Uh-oh.
I put Wild Wild West in very much the same category as Hot Fuzz.
What?
Yeah.
What? No.
Because like you have like this insane series of events, again, like buddy cop kind of movie, two very different personalities kind of coming together and whatnot, and then they like learn to trust each other and like work with each other. Don't look at me like that.
Yeah, the general type of movie is similar, but it's the trimmings and the details that make a movie good.
I mean, they're both romps. They're just fun. They're silly. I mean, I will grant you, I would say the dialogue writing and the one-liners in Hot Fuzz are much better. I will give you that.
One of them has good writing, good jokes, setup and payoff, grounded in reality, like all of the good things.
But also Wild Wild West, this movie knows what it is and it leans into it hard.
Yeah, no, it does. It leans in. So, well, before we go off on a tangent of how many movies are better than this movie, why we talk about this one is it's very steampunk. Let's talk about, we touched on some of it. Let's talk about more, like, what are some of the other steampunk things in this movie we haven't touched on yet?
Oh.
What grabbed your attention, like technology-wise or like steampunk trope-wise?
I've made a list.
Oh, yeah.
So we've already discussed magnets. We've discussed the giant steam-powered spider. We also have disguises, which I love a good disguise. It's very Shakespearean. You know, when you have characters in disguise and playing different parts and stuff. We have a steam train. We have spring-loaded gadgets. We have all kinds of innovations. We have a penny farthing.
Is that the small gun?
No, the penny farthing is the bike.
Oh,
with
right.
The big wheel and the tiny wheel?
Yeah, the motorized cycle.
Yeah.
And he wore goggles.
He did. Oh, yeah, we have goggles. I forgot about those. We've got a flying machine. We have everything in this movie. Every, like, steampunk kind of gadget or trope or whatever is in this film.
Yeah, I mean, from the very beginning, even they had like the body mod thing, the bad guy in the very beginning, they had like the hearing aid that's like,
oh, it's a ear trumpet.
Yeah, but it's like glued onto his head in a weird way that's like sort of sci-fi-ish looking, you know?
I will say they also lean extremely hard into if you are disfigured in some way, you are evil, and if you are attractive, you are good. They do lean into that extremely hard as well, which is not great.
I mean, he did have, his female assistants that were all pretty evil too.
Oh, I love the Baddie Girl Squad.
And were named after what their jobs are.
Oh my gosh. The names are very dumb. The names are so dumb.
What were the names?
There's Miss Lippenreader.
Right.
Munitia. I think Mila East, I think was her name.
I forget. Yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, like, and he gives them the names. I don't know if you caught that, but it's not like they're choosing their own monikers. Arliss Lovelace is very much like giving them their names, which is very much paints him as like the creep that he is.
Right.
But again, it's not cool that they're leaning into the "you are horribly disfigured, so obviously you are evil" kind of trope.
I mean, he's just missing half his body. Like, that's all.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you noticed, every single like person except for his pretty women are like fall under that. So
oh yeah, I guess
yeah,
you're right.
Mad Dog, like all of the guys that Jim West, Will Smith's character, fights down inside the belly of the spider, every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just saying.
Yeah, you got the knife guy.
Yeah, the knife guy, like the guy with like knives for arms.
I mean, and was defeated by a guy with a tiny knife that broke. Yeah. That fight scene was ridiculous. It was
absurd. Although I think Will Smith's like little like thing when he's like shaking his boot around because he's got the little tiny knife on his boot. It was good.
It was kind of funny.
I love that.
To me, that's the level that the purposeful jokes reach for me. It's like, okay, that was kind of funny.
And I can't help but wonder if that sort of thing was ad-libbed, because Will Smith is a funny actor.
Sure, yeah. No, he probably did. I'm guessing he did a bit of ad-libbing on this, because it did have a lot of his personality and flair and stuff, which is one of the reasons it feels weird that it's set in the Wild West, but okay.
That is definitely like one of the things they've broken, where like very like modern kind of behavior from him and whatnot, and from a lot of the characters. But I mean, you have to think about, you're writing for a modern audience, so there's only so many things you can keep kind of more archaic before it starts feeling distanced.
Yeah, no, it's the decisions from the making of this film feel very much like we're making a blockbuster. We want people to like laugh and stuff. We're not trying to be historically accurate or anything like that.
Though I will say the fashions were on point.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I don't know. Again, I don't know if you noticed. Also, I noticed they have a lot of camera work that's basically from like the bust up. You don't see a lot of the ladies' skirts or a lot of the gents' trousers. But we did get a scene at the very end with Rita, Selma Hayek's character, in the dress. Like, she's rocking the bustle. The movie is set in 1869, and by then the bustle had taken over, and she's rocking it. She's got the hat, she's got the high collar, all the ruffles. So that was on point. It is glorious.
So we did get like the steampunk Victorian fashion in this.
Yeah, and like the gents were wearing like really nice like brocade waistcoats and everything. Really, really nice details.
Yeah, no, everybody looked pretty sharp here. Look pretty sharp. Will Smith maybe looked a little too sharp for the era, but you know.
Why can't the man look sharp?
Someone just dropped Will Smith in the Wild West is what happened.
Well, again, like you're writing for modern audiences. Modern audiences, you know, will be more entertained by more modern behavior. So
you listed a whole bunch of, you know, steam-powered mechanology things in here. Was there anything that was like your favorite piece?
You know, I do feel like in steampunk movies, the smaller gadgetry is often underutilized because, you know, obviously steam train, check. You know, big steam-powered machines are very like spectacle, but like all of Gordon's like little gadgets and stuff, like he had the punching boobs when he was dressed as the what is the saloon girl.
Yeah.
Like, and we're shown that like by the fact that the guy that he punches gets like cold cocked, that there's some power behind these. So I like the punching boobs. It's kind of brilliant. I like all the little things on the train, like all the levers and things that like flip over and all like, oh my gosh.
The train, like his train itself is just full of gadgets and everything. It's got all the little things with, you know, levers and gears and the pool like table flipping over, the nice for you to drop in cannon that drops people into the chair.
Right. He's got like a spring-loaded like notebook with a pencil like in his sleeve. All of these things are amazing. I love it. Like, and these are details that really like just suffuse a movie or a book with that sort of steampunk feel.
And the baddie had even more things too. He had he had a steamboat.
Yeah.
He had a tank.
That was more the Ironsides, like we talked about last episode, actually.
Yes, yeah.
Like that kind of precursor to submarines.
Right. Yeah, 20,000 Leagues-ish, kind of like the Nautilus look. Yeah, the Ironsides, steamboat. I think my favorite thing was the Humakavula wheelchair.
Humakavula, like from
Hitchhikers?
Hitchhikers?
From Hitchhikers, like the Kenneth Branagh's like wheelchair thing. It just reminded me of
oh wow, I barely remember his wheelchair. And
well, it just reminded me of like Humakavula, like the guy with like the spider legs and like half a body.
Oh right, I remember
John
that
Malkovich's
now.
character from that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'd forgot about that.
It totally reminded me of that he had his little like wheelchair for his
like with all the little tiny legs, super creepy.
Yeah. This one he just had 4 big legs.
Right.
And a really dumb pun line to go with it. I don't even remember anymore.
It was the poker line about like 4 of a kind always beats a pair.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's right.
You're rolling your eyes so hard.
Yes, I am. I hope the listeners can hear that. They can hear the eye rolls. It's constant. Just if there's any weird noises in the background, it's my eyes rolling.
Nice.
At this entire movie.
I love it.
But it had like little flippy thing and some steam coming out of the back of it. So it was some kind of power going on there.
There's good details.
Yeah. It was like steampunk villain. Here we go. Anything else just in general that you liked about the film?
I like everything about this film.
Oh my
I do want to no. Don't do it. Because this film has a lot of redeeming qualities. Like I realize it leans into a couple of things, which we'll talk about, that like are not good. But like all of the women are sassy. Like we have Selma Hayek's character, who she plays Gordon and Jim off each other the entire time. Like she is using her skills at getting what she wants because she wants to get back to her husband.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like doing whatever she can. She's taking steps. She's pulling deceptions, all kinds of stuff. Like I said, we have the Baddie Girl Squad, who they're very skilled. My goodness. Like we're reading lips. We're munitions experts. They're driving the giant steam powered spider, all kinds of stuff. I love it.
True.
Yeah. So all of the women in here are really sassy. And they all have like their own agendas, which I have to say for 1999, man, that 90s sexism, 90s early aught sexism. Oh, it's rough. But they actually all have their own agency in this film. There are still those like creepy, like gross dude things in here. But overall, I'm really happy with the way that the women were handled in this film, because so often Hollywood does not know what to do with women. They're like, oh, I don't know. Like, is it like a puppy? Like, do we have to like protect it and care for it and like talk down to it? It is.
Yeah.
So I was really happy about that. I'm looking through the rest of my notes to see what else
was
there
the
is.
what about like the visual representation of the women? There was lots of cleavage and butts and everything all over this movie too.
Baddie Girl Squad definitely leans into what is kind of more of like current steampunk culture, where, you know, we are showing off more of our bodies and things like that. And there's an important conversation to have here about women's bodies and things like that. You know, cleavage is not consent.
Sure.
We have a right to dress the way we want without fear of dudes being horrible, creepy dudes and thinking that gives them some kind of permission, things like that. Women should feel safe to show off their assets and to dress in a way that they feel represents them well and expresses themselves. And again, Hollywood is not super great about handling that, because again, it's like they don't understand these things. But I will say, in this film, I don't feel like it was used to the lewd extent that so many movies do. Again, the women had their own agendas. Like, they had, I think it's pretty clear that like they kind of signed on with Arliss Lovelace. Like, I don't think they were under duress, like working for him or anything. Now, I don't think they got to choose their outfits.
I mean, they did put Selma Hayek in a cage.
Yes, they did. And that is hella creepy. That's one of the things in this film that's no. Like there's some real rapey overtones there. Let's not do that at all.
Yeah, and I thought that the whole interaction between Miss East and Jim West, it didn't really serve the movie or the story in any way. It was really just thrown in. It was like, let's let Will Smith kiss another lady and have someone else come on to him.
I mean,
that's all the scene was for.
I think that whole scene kind of showed he's not a great spy. Like, he kind of goes in, he does the James Bond thing where he's like, my name is Jim West. Like, doesn't go in disguise or anything. Yeah, exactly. Like, he's not a good spy. And it tells her what he's up to. He's like, oh, I'm looking for General McGrath. Just his entire point of being there.
Okay, talk about that scene, because that triggered something that I remembered. So they have that little encounter there, and then you see someone coming out of the painting behind him, and she looks at the painting guy, and he's like, oh, something's up, and he turns around and shoots him, and then shoots like 7 more people that were in paintings that he just now noticed?
I think the implication is supposed to be that, like, once he kind of knew what was happening with one, he figured out all the others. That, or, go with me here, when he walks in and he sees, like, I don't know if it was Baroque or Renaissance or something, whatever, the painting of, like, the nymphs or whatever they are, and he's like, ugh, white people.
Right.
Which he's not wrong. But those were a very different style, like that classical painting style from the ones that were all in the office. Those are all, like, I think they were kind of like Confederate-y kind of thing. So that might have been the clue, because it wasn't a classical style painting.
I think you are examining this much closer than the filmmakers did.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know, like, how detailed they thought about it. I know.
They're like, this would be fun. Let's have people pop out of the paintings. Yeah. And it's just not set up. It happens in 10 seconds, and then it's like, next scene.
But I mean, it's also just fun.
It's very movie.
But I will say, to your point about Miss East, because like I said, he comes in, he tells her exactly who he is. He's not in disguise. He tells her what he's up to. So then, of course, like, her job is to then, like, well, I don't want you to go find McGrath. Her job is to distract him, which she does, and then, is also supposed to try and get him murdered, which unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, because I'm glad he lives, but she was not successful in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would say, like, if someone walks up to you and you're like, yeah, I'm here to, like, I don't know, find your brother and punch him in the face or something, you might be like, gonna try to do something to not let that happen. Right.
So for me, the things that I liked in this movie were more some of the little jokes that, like, I found it funny that this was in the movie. Nothing to really do with the story or anything. Like, I thought it was funny that Kevin Kline was clearly playing Grant, the president. They had that little thing where he's disguised as the president, and he pulls off his disguise and it's him, but then the president walks in, but it's clearly the same actor in the same makeup.
Right.
And they're never in the shot together. So I thought that was kind of funny.
You think Kevin Kline played President Grant as well?
Yes.
Did he? I'm not sure he did.
I didn't even look it up in the credits.
I don't think so.
But I am so sure that I didn't look it up.
Okay, while you look it up, I'm going to talk about one more thing that I really loved.
Yeah, he played the president. He's in the credits. Yeah.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
So again, I just now looked it up. I was so sure. I just knew it. Yeah, it was obvious that's what's funny about it. It was obviously him in makeup, and he was doing a funny voice too.
See, I like this. I like learning this because his little details were different enough that it had me thinking it was a different actor.
I mean, he's a good actor.
He's a very good actor.
I don't think he was trying to hide it that much.
I think it was different enough that like I said, like, it appeared like it was a different actor, but also, close enough because he did have to play a mimic of him.
That's so funny that I got the exact opposite from watching. I was like,
funny.
he's tipping off that's also him, and it looks exactly the same. It's no way it's a different actor and different in makeup, because it looks exactly the same.
Okay.
And then I did like the conversation between Will Smith and Kenneth Branagh.
No, not a fan of that.
Oh, really?
That's the thing. That's like the biggest thing about this I don't like.
I mean, I liked Will Smith's comebacks, basically. All his...
No,
really?
No.
Oh, I mean, he's the evil dude. He's giving him a...
He's an able-bodied man making disabled jokes. They're both punching down, and punching down is never funny.
Well, how about this? So the part where what's his name? Gordon has the severed head that they somehow come across.
Oh, right.
And projects the final thing that he saw.
Yeah. I forget the fancy word for it.
Yeah, whatever. Retinal projection or something.
Yeah, something to that effect.
And then they have to like flip the head upside down and it's fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
And Will Smith is like, glasses. And they basically did the modern CSI of enhance.
Oh. But at least this time, there was kind of a good reason for it. Because his eyeballs, like my eyeballs, were just a little bit janky. And so we have to bring in the glasses to fix it.
No, it's actually one of like the sciencey things that kind of makes sense, but it's also a little bit funny. But it just reminded me of like the thing like enhance, and all of a sudden he could like read what was written on the pamphlet.
It is very, very CSI-ish.
Yeah, so I liked some of that stuff that was like little jokes that were here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff that I did not like.
Hang on, let me talk about one more thing that I liked.
Okay. Go ahead.
Kenneth Branagh chewing up the scenery in every scene he was in. You know, I love me some Kenneth Branagh. He does some amazing Shakespeare.
As he tells people sometimes when he directs to swim in the river of ham.
I don't know.
Oh, he was.
I know. Because that's what he said. Was it Chris Hemsworth in Thor 2?
Something like that. Yeah, he was neck deep. He was drowning in ham.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
Oh my goodness. That was a thing that I was like, is this a thing I don't like or a thing I like because it's funny?
Right.
How hard he is going.
Kenneth Branagh has a brand.
Let's talk about his accent for a second. Can we do that?
Yeah.
Can we do that?
We can.
So he's trying to be like a sinister sounding Louisiana Southern person.
I don't know if it's Louisiana or if it's Georgia.
I don't know, because they were like, they meet him in New Orleans.
Uh-huh.
But I wrote down.
Oh no, they meet him in. Oh yeah, it is Louisiana that they're in.
To me, it sounded like someone from Kentucky doing a Monty Python French accent.
It does have a little bit of Foghorn Leghorn about it. Just a little bit.
Kind of French sounding, but it's so bizarre.
Yeah,
and changes here and there.
Uh-huh.
It goes back and forth. It's all over the place.
He lays it on real thick, and he gets real passionate about his agenda. And as when he gets more passionate, it gets even thicker.
Right. Yeah, the louder he gets, the more weird it gets. Not even more specifically Southern, just weird. It gets more accenty.
Yeah.
In whatever he's doing.
I love it. Oh my gosh. I like Kenneth Branagh's style. I know it's not for everyone, and I know it is intense, but I like it.
It's wild. Yeah, if you're into hammy Kenneth Branagh, then strap in.
Have you seen his Hamlet Scene 1 Act 1 soliloquy?
No.
It's good.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay. If you say so. I have a question that has no answer.
Go on.
Well, it's probably my least favorite.
I love
movie.
a good debate question. Let's do it.
Well, it's not as much a question. It's just that. So at the very end, Jim West gets shot with the bullet, but he's wearing the protective vest, and he gets knocked unconscious as he falls 50 feet and doesn't die.
That fall would have definitely killed him.
The end of the movie is just 100 implausible things happening.
Totally.
So he doesn't die, and he's in the middle of the desert.
Uh-huh.
And the mechanical spider is getting way ahead. And then somehow he just appears, walks into this meeting where they're talking about splitting up the United States and having all these world leaders sign these papers to...
Which, by the way, Queen Vicky is not there for.
Yeah, I guess not. Yeah, how did he get all the people there?
That is unexplained.
It's kind of sidebar. It's kind of funny that his evil plan isn't to take over the United States. It's to give back to the other countries and take a piece for himself. But, just split it up.
That's his bargaining chip.
It's just U.S. bad. U.S. bad, split it up, but give him a big chunk.
You also note he did not give the Native Americans their land back.
No,
because he's a racist.
Dude.
He's a bad dude. He's a racist Southerner.
Right.
That is not to say all Southerners are racist, but he himself is both Southern and racist.
He's one of the combination. Yeah, for sure. So anyway, having this meeting, the culmination of his evil plot, and then Will Smith just walks in this outfit where he's dancing. He's disguised as a dancer.
Hand woman. Wave. We just hand wave past that.
Hand wave past that. Hand wave past that. Will Smith, dressed as a woman, starts dancing in front of Kenneth Branagh, and he is completely distracted. From everything. Yeah,
the huge important world negotiation kind of thing is completely derailed.
Completely. It's like, come on, this makes no sense. It's completely impossible that he would even get there, much less get in and walk in.
He had to take time to change. He put on makeup. The makeup was nice.
Yeah, no, he looked great for however many seconds he took to get dressed and use the speed of light to find them. Yeah, that was the too over the top where I'm like, okay, I'm not even enjoying how bad this is. It's just completely groaning through that entire thing.
I will grant you that was a huge hand wave.
Oh yeah.
I will give you that one. That and the magnets, real big hand wave.
Yeah. Magnets and just basically breaking the laws of speed and momentum and everything. They're real fast and loose the whole time. Anything else that you didn't like?
Well, like I said, the trope that if you are disfigured in any way, you are therefore evil, and the punching down. Nope. Those are my two big things.
See, I not to try to defend myself too much, but I'm going to try to defend myself a little bit. I think that it kind of works because Kenneth Branagh is clearly set up as the villain. He's going to be punching down because he's the villain. That's what he does. And then Will Smith going at him is not really punching down because this dude is punching in control.
Down. He's an able-bodied man making disabled jokes.
Okay.
It is. Now,
okay, in general, but in the context of, does he deserve it? I think he deserves it. So that's why I give it a pass for that.
That's a different kind of ridicule, though. You want to ridicule him for your overwrought plan of building a giant spider? Totes. We don't get to ridicule him for being disabled, for having his legs and other pieces of himself blown off.
Okay, so future us here, at the end of the podcast, we went back and we were kind of talking about this part where I'm inserting this now in the middle of the podcast about the conversation about the ableist jokes and how I thought it was kind of funny, and we were talking about it. So, yeah, Dana, catch me up on what we were talking about.
So essentially, we are talking about the basically the way that movies can kind of normalize these things or even just try to justify them. And I think there's a much larger conversation, very important conversation, about the impact of media and film on the way that viewers think about these things. So for instance, when we got to talking about it, I mentioned that okay, Arliss Lovelace is a bad guy. So when he does bad things, we're kind of like, oh, okay. But Will Smith's character he's the good guy.
Right.
And he's making jokes that are punching down, and nuance is very hard. And so a viewer might see that and go, oh, he's the good guy and he's making these jokes, therefore it's okay.
Right. And you can't cut out representation of anything that's bad done by anybody, because then you cut everything out. But who is doing the thing and who's going to be emulating that can be important, you're saying, right?
Yeah. But also there's another sort of conjoining conversation here about what we include in movies and literature and things like that. That yes, it's realistic to have these things. Yes, people really do them in the real world, but do we have to have them? So for instance, rape of women has been very often used as kind of a marker of oh, this is a bad dude because he rapes women. But again, when you are just suffusing media with that, because it's happening all the time, or other kinds of violence against women, it kind of normalizes it. And we're just like constantly bombarded with seeing these depictions of violence against women.
On that in particular, do you think it in some cases can help bring awareness that, hey, this is a real thing? Because if it goes completely sight unseen, people may go about thinking that it's not a big deal too.
And that's a fair point. Again, nuance is difficult.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's kind of a double-edged sword where on the one hand, it's hard to watch. It can be very triggering for people. It is very triggering for some people. And, we get tired of seeing it, get tired of hearing the same jokes, all this kind of stuff. But at the same time, you're right. Like, if we're not being made aware that these things are happening, then people don't always realize that it's a thing. And really, a lot of it comes down to handling situations sensitively. I know in a lot of times in the book world, we talk about sensitivity readers, where if we are writing a difficult situation or writing about a background that isn't ours or what have you, we will hire, and I mean hire because we pay them, sensitivity readers to read these parts, make sure we're handling it sensitively, making sure that we are not misrepresenting in a harm, like especially in ways that will cause harm to that community or group.
Right. So you just have to be really careful how you deal with certain topics and representation and like you said, the punching down thing. And we were also talking, and I just want to say on here that I kind of rethought a little bit of what was going on in my head, like when I was watching those scenes about like that the punny conversation between Will Smith and Kenneth Branagh, and even looking at it now, like I don't feel bad that I enjoyed it in the moment, because in the moment I wasn't thinking of it in that context that you described here, as far as showing a good guy doing this thing, kind of making it seem okay. I was just thinking in the context of the movie of like, oh, that's a bad guy, he deserves it. You can punch on him all you want to because he's the bad guy in the movie, and that's what the good guys do. But looking back at it now, I'm also, it seems like, I think, again, I didn't like this movie, a lot of it. I think it's ridiculous and pretty poorly done. And my brain was trying to latch onto something that's like a thing that I like. Mm-hmm. This was this movie trying to do the thing where there's the good guy and the bad guy having like a witty repartee, a battle of wits and puns, and taking jabs at each other kind of subtly but not subtly. Mm-hmm. And my brain was like, oh, that's a thing you like. This is kind of cool that they're doing that. But upon closer examination, this movie did it badly.
Yes.
Which is kind of par for the course. And yeah, so just wanted to share kind of the details of our thinking on this. And, it's always evolving. We're learning, and that's what we do. And hopefully we can have those kind of cool conversations here. And
I think it was a really good follow-up conversation and an important one, which is why we hopped back on here. Because, especially when that's not our experience, you just don't have that knowledge. And I think these conversations are not even just very important, but vital to have. And I appreciate you actually like hearing me out and like listening to the other side of this, and, being open to this idea that like, oh, I might be coming at this from the wrong angle, and I might be incorrect in my thinking. Because I think if I can try to speak for you and not step out of turn, mm-hmm. you were appreciating like the wordplay of it, but
right.
It's kind of one of those things of like, the writing is clever on its surface, but it's not funny.
Yeah. It was emulating a funny thing, and I just want to thank you for making an argument for another reason why this movie is not good. Making my points for me, and so with that, I think we're gonna go back to our original discussion and more stuff about Wild Wild West. Here you go. Guess you could have gone after the phallic saw gun that was just tossed in there.
Yeah,
not even commented on somehow.
We didn't need that.
I'm surprised it was not commented on. It was just there.
It was because they were having the conversation.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
you're
about
right.
everything. And like they had that visual in there.
He was
oh
like, speaking of thrusting.
Hard pumping.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then they cut to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. We don't need that.
All right, Dana. Well, this has been a wild discussion.
Oh, I see what you did there.
We're going to rate this movie. So we give it two kind of ratings. First, we give it a steam engine rating. How steampunk is this movie? Out of 5, can we say 5 steam engines?
Oh, 100% 5. If I could give it 6 steam engines, I would.
Yeah, they would like stack on top of each other. One of them is like the size of a building, one of the steam engines. So
right.
It's 5. But
it's 80 feet tall, like the spider.
Yeah, the 5th steam engine is really big. So the other rating is how much we enjoyed it. So out of 5 gears, how did you enjoy this film?
I love this film. This is another one of those films that kind of had an impact on me. It was a hugely steampunk film that I saw in high school, and I love it. 5 gears from me.
Oh my goodness. And then I have to rate this film on out of 5 top hats. How did I enjoy watching this film? That is complicated. The first time I watched this film, I definitely would have given it 1 because I thought it was just crazy and ridiculous. And I was like, what is happening? I enjoyed it a little more this time just because I knew what was coming and I could enjoy some of the badness, the over the topness. I'm going to give it... I can't give it more than 2. I can't give it more than 2 top hats because it's so terrible. Like, I don't know. If you like that kind of, blockbustery humor with some steampunk stuff, it can be a fun watch. I can't give it more than 2. My conscience won't let me. 2 top hats.
I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
Is it at all impacted in either direction? The fact that they even did the reverse the polarity sci-fi thing. When they reversed the polarity of the magnets.
Oh, where was that?
That was when they had the metal collars around their neck, and then Gordon was really frustrated and he hit Jim's collar with a rock, and then it reversed the polarity. They were stuck together. Because I guess that's a thing that can happen with magnets. That like amazing sci-fi thing, like Doctor Who does it. In addition to like launching the warp core into things, I think Star Trek does it many times.
Oh, you always got to reverse the polarity of something.
It's always a solution.
Oh, you're right. They did do that.
They did.
It's so silly. Again, the magnets just do whatever they want them to at any moment in any scene.
Man, when those electrons get together, they're capable of anything. That was a science joke.
Well, I think that about wraps up this conversation.
You're welcome.
Thanks everyone for listening, for tuning in. If you're out there and you want to suggest any other steampunk movies for us to talk about, get at us on Twitter @SteamPoweredPod. You can go to steampoweredmovies.com for more information, for descriptions of the podcast, information about us, links to stuff. So that's all there. And hopefully you tune in next time. If you like it, please leave a review on iTunes or Stitcher, whatever podcast app that you listen on. And we will talk to you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Bye. Hello and welcome to Steam Powered Movies.
Dang, that had energy behind it. You put some extra sauce on that.
You interrupted me.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
All right.